Hey everyone. So today I want to talk about customer service in regards to shopping for makeup. If you're buying makeup in a place like CVS or Rite Aid or Walmart or Kmart or something like that, then customer service isn't really that important because you're pretty much on your own anyway. There isn't going to be anyone there that's going to be able to help you find anything or answer any questions. You're pretty much on your own. However, if you are shopping at a place like Ulta, for example, that specializes in beauty products, or a department store counter where you have to talk to them to get the products anyway because they keep everything behind the counter, then hopefully you are going to get someone who is knowledgeable about the product and can help you find what you're looking for. Now, when I shop at Ulta, for example, there are approximately 3 different managers that work there, and I would say 2 out of the 3 managers have no idea who I am or why I'm there. They just don't acknowledge me in any way. However, there is one manager that works there that whenever she sees me, she recognizes me as a frequent customer and appreciates that and acknowledges it. You know, she always says hello to me and talks to me. If she's not extremely busy, she'll stop and talk to me for a few minutes, and I really appreciate that. Customer service is important to me. When I go to a department store counter to buy things, I sort of expect them to know what they're talking about because for me that's part of their job. They're not just there to take the things out from behind the counter and sell them to me or try to sell them to me. As far as I'm concerned, they're there to assist me in being able to answer my questions or help me choose the right shade or whatever the case may be. Well, I realized recently that I wasn't buying nearly as much MAC as I used to, and at first I was thinking that it was a conscious choice to try to cut back on the amount of money I was spending, because I was going and trying to find a lot of brands at discount stores and so forth that I had never tried before, and in an effort to try to save money. And then, you know, my basic tastes and things, I kind of have, normally I kind of have expensive tastes. So I found myself, you know, back in the department stores again, but I wasn't going to the MAC counter very often. And I realized that I've been going to the Chanel counter a lot lately at the different stores that I shop at. And the other day I was thinking about this and I was like, why? And I realized customer service. What had happened was I used to be very friendly with the manager at my local MAC counter, and he got a job somewhere else. I had skipped on a couple of MAC collections, so I didn't know, I never got a chance to say goodbye to him or anything because the store that he's working at now is in Boston, and I'm nowhere near Boston, and it would be a big hassle and aggravation for me to drive into Boston and shop there, so I basically don't. It's just, you know, easier to shop closer to home, which I'm sure a lot of you do also. But anyways, I went to my local MAC counter one day after having skipped a couple collections, and I said to the person who was there, I said, wow, it's not like, you know, and then I said his name, which I don't want to get that specific, but I said his name. I said, it's not like him to not be here for the opening of a collection. And they said, oh, he doesn't work here anymore. And I was like, oh. And, you know, I really liked this person and enjoyed my shopping experience with them because to me it wasn't just about the buying and selling of makeup, it's like, you know, you get to know these people if you shop frequently, and it's part of the total experience, you know, knowing each other's name, being on a first name basis with each other and chatting about things maybe that aren't even related to makeup, you know. They almost become like, not a friend, but, well, yeah, kind of like a shopping friend. And I felt so bad, you know, I never got to say goodbye to him, and so I found out, you know, where he had gone to work in case I ever do make it up to Boston. And I figured, you know, I would pop in and surprise him and say hello at the store that he's working at now. But anyways, yeah, so that got me thinking about customer service and how important is customer service to you? For me, it's very important. And so now, you know, my return experiences to the MAC counter, all of a sudden, they've got all new people there. I don't know anybody. The brief conversations that I had with them pretty much told me that they're all new, and I knew a lot more about the products and the collections and the color selections and everything than they did, because these were just like people just starting off, and obviously the extent of their knowledge about MAC was extremely limited, to say the least. So I found myself not really going there and shopping much there anymore because it was all different now. So I started going to some of the other counters, and I noticed that all the people that work at the Chanel counters, and it isn't just one particular Chanel counter, because I shop at more than one store, I shop at more than one different mall. I noticed that all these people were extremely nice, knowledgeable, helpful. It made all the difference. It made me want to go back and buy more Chanel products. And I think this is extremely important when you're shopping at stores or counters or anything like that. And I just wondered, you know, what do you guys think? How important is customer service? Are you more concerned about having a product in mind, going there, buying it, and getting what you want? Or is the whole experience important to you? Because I really enjoy shopping, and it isn't just about going in there and buying something. It's, you know, being treated nicely by the people who work at the stores. Have you ever had a bad experience where you came across a salesperson who treated you badly, and, you know, what did you think about that? I had an experience once at, I don't know if I should say the name of the store or not, but it's a pretty famous department store, where I had this specific product in mind that I wanted. It wasn't makeup, it was like, I don't even remember exactly now what it was, but it was sort of an accessory type thing. And I went to the store and I asked somebody where I could find it, because I wasn't really sure like what department it would be in, because it was kind of one of those items that didn't really fit into a specific category. And, you know, I talked to several people in the store. Nobody knew what I was talking about. Nobody knew whether they had it or where to find it or anything. And the irony is, the reason why I was looking for it in the first place was because I had been flipping through a magazine and I saw an ad for this product, and I said, ooh, yeah, I think I would really like that. And at the bottom of the ad it said available at, and then it had the name of the store, and I thought, oh my God, you know, the store is paying all this money to have this ad placement in a high-profile magazine, and nobody at the store knows anything about it. So I thought, wow, you know, they would be really mad if they knew that. And I thought about like trying to go to maybe the customer service department and talk to them about this whole experience, or maybe even writing the store a letter or something. But in the end, I decided to do nothing, which I think was, you know, looking back on it, I think was a mistake, because how do they know unless you tell them? But instead, what I did was I just did not shop in that store again for like, oh my gosh, I would say probably 2 years. I did not step foot in that store. I said, no, you know, these people, they, not only did they not know, but they didn't even care. And I think that was the part of it that bothered me the most was, you know, but then I started slowly going back to the store because it is convenient because it's not that far from me. And I started noticing that the quality of the people that they had hired and their knowledge and everything had vastly improved. So they must have realized there was a problem and gotten rid of all those other people and hired new ones. But yeah, I've worked in retail and I know how important it is to try to keep the customer happy. You know, it's not just about making sales, although that is a big part of it, but you have to try to make sales, but at the same time you have to genuinely try to help people. I mean, I used to bend over backwards when I worked for Borders bookstore. If somebody came in looking for a specific item, I used to bend over backwards trying to find that item in that store for them. And I would just keep on looking until they'd say, oh, you know, never mind, because I had spent so much time looking for it. Because I know how it feels myself to go into a store and try to find something and then nobody knows where it is or they can't find it, and you know, you get your heart set on something, and it makes a difference when somebody takes that extra step to really try to help you in any way that they can. That makes me want to go back to that store over and over and over again. When somebody just goes a little bit out of their way to try to help you, makes all the difference. And I just wondered if you guys felt the same way, or, you know, do you have any experiences similar to what I'm talking about? And I was just curious. So to me, yeah, customer service is really, really important, and one of the biggest factors as to whether I'm going to shop at a specific store or buy from a specific counter in a store. So tell me what you think and let me know, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.